Guys, I've been invited to an event, and you know the question that I'm dreading more than all of them. What do you do for a living? What do you do for a living? I don't want to repeat of what happened last time, so what do I say?
It's easy. Just say you're an academic or a researcher. That's what you've been doing for the past 10 years. Just say that and move on. Everybody knows
If you
what
had
it
done a
is.
good job of fulfilling her, all this time you've been the main character, we would not be struggling to answer a simple question right now, would we? No. And do I have to remind you that you had an entire 3-week meltdown over a 300-word abstract? 300 words. 3. So no, it's obviously me. I'm your first real love. You always feel so energized when you're with me. You have a beautiful EP that you released. Working on the second project is gonna be fire. And obviously, I'm just like the most interesting of the bunch. So it's obviously me.
Please, you that released an EP in 2022 and no one has heard from you ever since, that's the one you want us to go and say to the people. Ha.
Okay. Let's calm down. It's obviously me though. Like, that was funny. But it's obviously me because I'm the moment. She is scripting, planning, filming, editing, and posting consistently. It just makes sense that it should be content creator. It's just common sense. Yes. Because 35 subscribers and 2 comments from your 2 friends screams career. Okay, well done. Don't make me laugh. Content creator. Jokes. Okay, we're doing a bit too much now, and that was not necessary at all. There was no need. So what if I just say I'm a creative? It's, it's generic, but it also... no, babes. It's giving unemployed. Okay, so what do I say then? Sorry.
Hello, I'm Ajo, and this is my visual diary in which I document the emotions, mental states, and practical realities of building a fulfilling life from the inside out. But as you would have seen from my little skit that I put in the beginning of this video, I am in a crisis. Me and my multiple identities are in a crisis. And it's not a new crisis. We've been in this crisis since as long as I can remember. So in this video, I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to reflect on why is it such a struggle to define myself, even though I have been with myself since I was born? Isn't that crazy? Why is this such a struggle for me? Also, the 3 things that really blew my mind. Like, there's no quick fix for how to solve identity crisis, but some things can really provide clarity, and this gave me so much clarity that I felt like I had to share it. So here it goes. So every now and again in these videos for the next few weeks, I'm going to pop up looking very different from the video you're actually watching because I filmed those videos ahead of time. So when you see me pop up like this, I'm coming to add some context or link sections in a way that I didn't do in the main conversation, and then we'll go back to that. This is all to help so you can follow the conversation with ease, right? So please bear with me. In addition to the discussion on identity crisis and how I'm moving forward with that, I am also going to be introducing you to my different identities. So the different personalities that you saw in the skit in last week's video, if you haven't watched that yet, you should definitely check it out. Some of the personalities that you saw in that skit and the ones that you saw in the skit before this video, I will introduce you to them one by one, and you get to know where they're really at in everything and their relationship with each other. It's so fun. It's so fun, I have to say. So stick around for it so you don't miss it. Let's get into it. Are we ready? Okay, I'm ready now. So why do I struggle so much with defining myself? Why is this such a consistent battle in my life? So I think the first reason is the blessing and the curse of being multi-talented. And I'm not talking multi-talented at a professional level where I can say I sing like Beyonce or Mariah Carey, No, just being able to sing. Singing is an example, obviously. I've always been that person who's like good at doing a bunch of stuff. For example, like I just mentioned, the singing. I'm the singer of almost every friend group that I'm part of. I started fitness and then I realized, I'm actually really good at this fitness thing. Like, I know what I need to do for my body to actually get to the things. I mean, it wasn't always like that, but I signed up in 2014 and I only committed in 2018. It took a long time. But I remember very clearly that in one of the classes that I took, it was just me and one other person, or me and two other people in that class. It was a very small class. I remember the teacher, she came up to me after the class and she said, you know, you could teach, right? I was like, teach what? Teach what? And she was like, no, you have really good form. You seem to understand how exercising is supposed to be. At that time I was still like, I still had all the weight that I've been fighting with for a long time and whatnot. So I was very surprised that she would say this to me. When I went to the aerial arts class, I was told that, oh, you actually have decent amount of upper body strength. Most people in the first class, they really don't be doing it like that. I started running and then I realized, oh, actually I can pick this up really quick, you know. In school, when we would do presentations, right? Like in literature, they asked us to like read a poem and then come and do a presentation of how you interpreted or analyzed the poem. And I remember after doing my presentation one day, my teacher, when you grow up, this him now, my teacher, saying, when you grow up, you're going to become a teacher and I'm going to send my child to your school so you can teach them because you teach well. And I was like, this is secondary school. So these are the kinds of things I'm like, okay, I can sing. I was a choir prefect because I could sing, and I couldn't just sing. I could also write songs, and I would hear people say, oh, you write really good melodies for someone who doesn't play an instrument, never went to music school, nothing. But I'm just trying to make the point that I would be just above the average of what a person would expect. So, okay, I can do a little bit of this, I can do a little bit of that, I can do a little bit of this. And I was like, who am I in all of that? If I do a little bit of this, a little bit of this, a little bit of this, what am I? Because most people have the central thing. They have a bunch of interests, but they have the central thing that's like, I'm a this, I'm a neuroscientist, I'm a physiotherapist, I'm a this, I'm a that, you know. They have a central thing. Even if it's not a job title, they have a central thing that's like, this is my thing that I wrap my identity around. But me, it's just a whole bunch of small things that I'm just like, I don't know what to do with all of this. So that was the first thing, is the blessing and the curse of being slightly good at things, you know, and you get to hear that often, and then it's just like, well, I actually don't now know what to do. So I'm just like this, you know, just confused person here, just oscillating but never really going anywhere. The second thing driving this thing is related to the first one. Because of this ability to do multiple things, I never quite felt like I fit in anywhere. When I'm in an academic space, I feel like a fraud. When I'm with musicians, I feel like a fraud. when I'm amongst people who do like actual running, like people, serious runners, I'm like, whoa, I run, man. I started running recently and I run, but like, I'm not that type of runner. Like, when I look at fitness, you know, the people, I call that personality a fitness junkie, but I know that I'm not fitness junkie the way that some people are fitness junkie. Do you understand? So I know that even then, I don't really fit within that space. So even when I'll go to academic conferences and I'm just like, why am I here? It's not a matter of I don't belong here, I don't deserve to be. It's not imposter syndrome. It's like, you see the way people talk about their research, they go in depth, they're excited, they're passionate, and I'm just like, yo, it's a lot. I get to the music space, I know as much about the music industry as anybody else who just listens to music from the outside, because I never really knew people who were deep in the industry. I don't know any musicians like that, like close to me, where I know how they navigate the different, you know, contours of the industry. There's a whole bunch of things that I don't know about the music industry, on top of the fact that I didn't study music, I don't play an instrument, I just play my voice, and I have melodies that I can somehow pull from out of nowhere and turn into a song. Like that I can't explain, but like, so basically I'm making the point that I never really fit in anywhere. So it's always a, what am I, who am I, what am I doing, right? Of course there are many other things driving my identity crisis. There's my struggle with religion, there's my struggle with the academic system, there's my struggle with a lot of things. Like, just the way the world is, there's a lot to happen to cause a person to be unsure about how to move in the world. In fact, for a long time, I used to think that there was a script that other people got on how to do life, you know, that I didn't get. So I wouldn't even be able to go to like social events on my own if I didn't know anybody in that space, because I don't know what I'm supposed to do or say. But if I go with a friend that I have experience dealing with, I can watch how they show up to the space and try and align myself to that, because, oh, if they're doing it and no one is shouting at them, then it's probably correct, right? So I try and model my behavior around them. You can just imagine how crazy it is to live like that. Hey, Anyway, that was it for me for a hot minute. There are a bunch of other things, but for this purpose of this video, I wanted to talk about how having multiple interests can be a great source, a wonderful source of identity crisis and confusion. A blessing and a curse. It's great, it's fantastic, but it's also a lot. Now let's talk about how I'm moving forward. The first thing, which when it came to me, I was like, hey, my ancestors are working actively. Are you listening? Because it blew my mind. Is that I am not the things I do. I am she who is doing the things. Wait. I'll say it again. I am not the things I do. I am the person, the she who's doing the doing. Do you understand? So it's a very subtle shift, I think, but it's such a powerful shift in thinking about identity and who I am. Because if I am the things that I do, so I'm a content creator, I'm a musician, I'm a this, I'm a that. If something should happen and I cannot do any of these things, what then? What am I? What do I become? Do I just devolve into like a mess and just vanish, disappear because, hey, no more content, no more music, so Ajo doesn't exist anymore? No, right? That's not true. Instead, Ajo does music, Ajo does content, and maybe in 5 years, Ajo is no longer doing content, Ajo is no longer doing music, she's doing something else, and maybe in another 5 years, she's doing something else. The things that I'm doing are changing, but the person doing the things is not. Of course, I'm evolving, I'm expanding, I'm growing, and all of that, but in essence, I am still me, right? It's not like there's another me from this one from when I was young. It's all just an extension and evolution of the same thing. So the things I'm doing, at first I was in kindergarten, that's what I was doing, or nursery school, then I was in secondary school, then I was in university. Those were all the things that I was doing, but it was still me going through all of those processes. So I am all of those things and also none of those things at the same time. Oh, Jesus. Somebody say amen. But yeah, I'm all of those things and none of them at the same time. There is a version of me who will outlive these things, who will evolve past that point. If I were to lose a limb, if I were to lose my ability to do X, Y, or Z, I will still be Ajo. Maybe Ajo who now cannot do this, Ajo who now does this, or who now does that, but it's still Ajo at the center. So I come before the things. I am not the things I do. I am. I just am. And then the things gush out of me and flow out of me, because that is what it means to live. You know, in 2020, I started this experiment of creating content, and I remember making a video about this very same question about what do you do for a living. So you can see it's been plaguing me for a while. Like, I remember making this video. At that time, I was in between things again. Jesus. And I was still struggling to answer the question of what do you do? And then I came to the answer that I live for a living. Everything else that I'm able to do is because I'm alive. I'm here. And so this is it. Do you get? I live for a living. So now what happens, how I choose to live, does not define me. It's not the full picture. It's part of the picture, but it's not the full picture. And if tomorrow I decide to do something else, then I do something else. And it's still me. What a way to articulate it. Oh, the Holy Spirit was alive and active. We're going to pause the conversation here. I'm going to introduce you to some of the characters now, and then we'll come back to the main conversation again later to discuss the last 2 points. Stick around. So, how did you feel when they were about to start the budgeting meeting without you the other day, Academia? It's so funny you should ask me this question, because such a question shouldn't even be possible, considering that I am the one who pays for everything. Yeah, they like to act like all I do is stress them out, drain their energy. But how would they be able to afford anything if not for me? And I'm really not bothered by these people because I've been here the longest. I've been here right from the time when she just started to learn how to read and write when she was like 3 years old. That was me in the earliest stages. I've been with her through thick and thin. And these other ones, they just come every now and then, get excited, and then before you know it, they vanish. That's actually the reason why she couldn't start the meeting without me, because she knows most. She knows. So she can complain all she wants. They can complain all they want about me being too serious, about me being too this and me being too that. But they must also know that the life they're living is because of me. I make that possible. But I'm not one to toot my own horn. So, and the worst part is I am the least expensive. I don't ask for anything that I cannot pay for myself. So I don't even cost anything, and I'm paying for everyone, and they have the audacity to sit and complain about me or think they can start a meeting about money in this household without me. Isn't that just laughable? But I don't have time for these kinds of petty things, because I have more serious things to worry about, like making sure there's a roof over our head. I really hope that some of these others, like music and who that like to form somehow, I really hope they start bringing in some money soon. Because it's one thing to talk. It's another thing entirely to make sure that the bills are paid. So that's me. I don't know what to tell you, but I feel like you should be asking these newcomers what's up with them, because I've been here. There's nothing new here. So I'm the singer-songwriter. I am the artist, and I'm basically the one that is in charge of regulating her entire emotional system, because it can be a mess. So when everything and everyone else is done draining her and exhausting her and taking from her, she comes to me and she feels refreshed, re-energized, and she feels like she can conquer the world. She really does have a certain je ne sais quoi when she hangs with me, you know. It's unfortunate that we haven't really had as much time as we could have had to hang, because I feel like we would have done so much more. And that's my whole problem right there with academia, you know. I know you didn't ask, but I feel like it needs to be said. She's so good at telling everybody that she's been here since we were 3 years old. She's been here when we were learning how to write and how to read and how to this and how to that. But what is there to show for it? All we have is this woman feeling drained all the time, feeling like she's not living her purpose, feeling like she's betrayed the destiny that she was put on this earth to do, because she has been spending all her time with academia. Now, if that had been me, if I had been there since 3 years old, we would be millionaires. We would be billionaires in some currencies. But no, she chose the safe route. Yes, I know. I can be a lot of work. It's a lot to do all of this without the resources, without the team, without knowing the industry. I get why she went that way, because the steps are basically laid out for her. She's master's, then it's PhD, then it's lecturing. It's pretty straightforward, you know? So I don't blame her too much for going that route. But all I'm saying is academia cannot be walking around here as if she's the boss of things. Meanwhile, she's had, 30 years to get us somewhere, and where did she land us? Yeah. And she claims she cannot understand why people don't like her too much around here. Yeah, it's true, some nice things come out of academia. Yeah, sure, we get to travel a bit, we get to see places, but do you know how much traveling we would have done if we had spent more time with me instead? That's all I'm saying. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm happy at the very least that we've started moving again. The Afrobeat project is actually banging. I can't wait for y'all to hear it. Just know that we've been cooking, and I really just hope that the money academia is making is going to be able to cover for all of the things that we need to do. Yeah. I feel like she owes us that for being around for so long, and still somehow we are not rich. We are not stinking rich. We could be rich and famous, but look where we are. So that's me. That's essentially academia and music. I hope that you have enjoyed getting to know them and getting the tea on the drama that is unfolding. Oh my goodness. The tension in the house. Oh my God. There's one more character that I'll introduce you to in this video, which is content creator. She will come after we've discussed the last 2 points on how I am going to better manage my identity crisis moving forward. So let's get back to that. Second thing is that I am also learning to look at the worst case scenario, to actually imagine the worst case scenario. In another video, I think I joked about how if my imagination worked full, if I used my imagination to imagine good things, I'll be the happiest person in the world, but I always use it to imagine the worst possible scenario. But now I'm trying to think that maybe that's not a bad thing, to imagine the worst case scenario. Now, if I imagine it and I hold on to it and I let it just terrify me to the point of I cannot do anything, that's okay, unproductive, right? But if I'm looking at the worst case scenario from a detached place, where I'm just like, okay, sure, I'm a person that does content. I have 35 subscribers now, an average of about 30 views a video. Let's say it never grows beyond that. The worst case scenario of this particular thing I'm doing, because the anxiety around it is, what if it doesn't work and who am I now without those things? And so I imagine, what if it doesn't work? Who would I be without those things, right? That's what I'm working with now. So, okay, let's say the content doesn't work. Sure, in 2 years, I'll look at the stats, I look at the numbers, and if it's not working, I'll cry, it will pain me, and then I'll pack up my computers and I will go. Or I'll say, let me keep doing it, because it actually, did you see how just excited I got just now because of how this thing blew my mind? It's making me awake, aware. It's helping me learn a lot. I've grown so much in 4 weeks than I did in the past 6 months. Because of this content. So I might decide to just keep doing it just because I'm learning and becoming a much better person, like a fuller version of myself, because of these reflections and stuff, right? I'm more in tune. So that could be an option. Or I could just stop, or it could work. That's also an option. We'll talk about that in another video. The music, I've also created an EP before. I put it on Spotify and then it went nowhere. Well, some people listen to it, they love it. My friends, my family, they like it. They have to. They're my friends and family. They're my friends and family. So again, I've been there before. It didn't go as well as I wanted it to go, but I didn't stop being agile. I didn't stop being who I am. I remain here. I, the person, the subject who's doing the things, is still here. And the best part about all of this in imagining the worst case scenario is that I've always been comfortable thinking about death, that I will die someday and everybody that I love will eventually die someday, because it's the ultimate freedom. It is the ultimate freedom. If the struggle, the identity crisis persists for the rest of my life, at some point it will end when I finally, right? So that might feel like, oh, that's such a dark thought. But for me, it's actually liberating. It's like freeing. It's like, I don't have to do this for eternity. So, okay, let's do it as best as we can. And then one day, we're out of here. Back into the darkness, into the void, or whatever it is that we were before we came here. Actually, I'm looking forward. Okay, let me not rush it to come to me. I'm not saying I want to go now. I'm just saying when the time is right. It will be nice to see what's there, if at all there's something to see. But just putting it into the universe. So yeah, and I feel like people who are in touch with their mortality, like when I read about people who have really thought about death and live life from a perspective of death, of the fact that death is inevitable and death comes for all of us and everything dies eventually, everything changes. And even if I don't realize that things are shifting, things are shifting, things are constantly changing and shifting, whether I notice it or not. And living in denial of that is not helping me. It's not helping me. So facing the fact that if push comes to shove, death will free me at the end of the day. This will not be forever. So I'm practicing confronting my own mortality more and more often, because it really helps me to determine what is the essence of me. If I am going to die, what is worth the time? What is worth the energy? What is worth the effort? What are the things I want to live for? What are the things I want to stand for? Because when I die, then let me know that I lived, right? Yeah. It's always how I get so tired after I've talk. I'm like, okay, I think it's all out of my system now. The point that I didn't mention in the last video, unfortunately, because it was just a lot going on, is the idea that rather than focusing on clinging to a sense of identity or titles or labels or things that, come and go, I want to rather focus on telling the most interesting story I can tell with my life. So if my life was a movie, if my life was a novel, and I was the lead character and I wanted this to be the most epic story ever, what would it be? What are the things I would do? Would I be trying to hold on to the label of an academic, the label of a content creator, a musician, or would I be trying to do as many wild, crazy, interesting, entertaining, unexpected things as possible, so that when I look back and look at all the things I've done, I'll be like, whoa, I have lived, and I continue to live, right? So that's something that I found to be really profound in terms of thinking about identity. It makes me to question what is the path that people wouldn't expect, because nobody wants a story that if you can predict the end of the movie, the end of the novel, maybe you still watch it, maybe you still read it, but isn't it just so amazing when there is that plot twist, that unexpected twist that you're just like, oh, I didn't see that coming. That's what I want my life to feel like. When I look at it, I'm like, who would have thought that I would do that? And yet I did, even though no one would have thought, even though the label said I couldn't, even though society said I couldn't, I did. That is one of the things that I want to take with me in rooting and anchoring my sense of self on something more stable, something that I can hold on to, that is not shifting and can't leave me. My story cannot leave me. My job can leave me. My ability to create content can leave me. But the story I'm telling cannot leave me, because it is my life. It is the story. It is the essence of the life I'm living, right? Isn't that just... So that's the video for today. I hope that something in my ramblings and my reflections have been helpful for you. Share this with someone who is struggling with identity right now and just trying to figure out, how do I move on? How do I show up in my day? How do I show up in my life right now, even though everything is moving all over the show, right? And yeah. And thank you for watching. Thank you so much for watching. I have really enjoyed creating content this past couple of weeks, and I hope that the love that I've poured into creating the content comes through when you're listening and watching. And I really love to hear your comments, so let me know. Don't be quiet, don't be strangers, okay? Find me on Instagram. I'm not on anywhere else yet actively, but find me on Instagram. I have a TikTok, but I'm not yet active there. But find me on the places. Let's chat, let's talk. I want to get into the things. I want to get into the chats. But anyway, I'll see you. Today I'm going to be a bit relaxed. Usually I'm very busy, but we are traveling. That's why you don't see me with any equipment. I don't have my tripods. I don't have anything, because the week before we traveled, I was working like a dog, filming all the content so that we just have to edit while we're on the move. But that's why you can see me a little bit chilled. Enjoy this while it lasts, because normally I am very tense. Today is a good day. You're lucky. Well, I couldn't be an option until much later. The internet had to become a thing before it even became a possibility that I could also be like an option, So I came in much later. I think myself, fitness, and diet, the good diet, the bad diet. She was there before the good diet showed up. So she had done content before, but we started our own personal content journey like after 2020 during the pandemic, and there was lots of fitness content and stuff. So fitness and I get along really well because of that. Diet is touch and go, because every time good sis gets a bit stressed, diet is like usually one of the first to drop. So I don't really know the ins and outs, the beef between music and academia. Like, it's an intense beef they have going on. So I just got here. I feel like academia is cool. I feel like she gets life. Life is serious. It's not all jokes and games the way that music, fitness, and the others think it is. You have to work for things, But then also, like, I can't help it, but music is so cool. Like, have you met her? She's just like the coolest person in the world. She's fun, she's lighthearted, she's just all the things I sometimes wish I was, but I'm not. They also like to treat me like I'm too serious. You can be everything, but if you cannot package and sell yourself properly, then you're wasting your time, and that's my job. That's my job. But overall, I try not to get into the beef between the people. I'm sort of everywhere. I can't afford to beef with anyone. It's just, I would like to also just be part of the fun crew, you know? Not always with academia, because yeah, we're always the ones behind the computer, but it's okay, everybody plays their part, right? Okay, but I still gotta go though, because I have a video coming up on Friday that I have not yet started editing. So you can chat to the other people, I'm sure they will have more for you. So yeah. Okay, bye bye.